held us down. But now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go. Hello, good afternoon. We got some volume in here. Atlantic City, Atlantic County, in America. Welcome to the Monday Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour. And we have from Washington, D.C. online, Teddy Tashe Payton. Teddy, you there with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you now. And we have the fabulous Celeste Fernandez as our special guest. Hello, Celeste.
Hello, thank you for having us or for having me today.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, it's the Power Hour. We also have Councilman Ricky Sistrunk
Yes.
from Pleasantville sitting in the house. So, you know, this is a powerful gathering today for Atlantic City Power Hour. And before we get into our subject matter, which is going to be how Atlantic City and Pleasantville and Atlantic City can work together to do good while doing well and grow and prosper, with an idea that Senora Celeste has. I had to learn the difference between senorita and senora. So I was taught at the restaurant we went to that day. But I did want to take a time to mention an upcoming event actually tomorrow. It's Atlantic City Initiatives Project Office to co-host Atlantic City Town Hall for residents and businesses in the first and second ward. The New Jersey Department of Community Affairs (DCA) encourages people who live and work in the first and second wards to attend an Atlantic City Town Hall meeting Tuesday, tomorrow, September 24th, to contribute their thoughts and ideas about the city's ongoing revitalization and how to move our city forward. So that was one thing I wanted to mention. I'm going to be there, and I invite all of you to bring your family and friends out there also, because the second thing that we have to address in the future is this crazy petition that these guys are trying to push to take away the vote from the citizens of Atlantic City, which it ain't going to happen. And we'll use every resource we have from here to Washington, D.C., to the Department of Justice, to raising some funds to get the lawyers that we need to deal with it. But we ain't going to let the people of Atlantic City lose their vote. That's that. Now, good morning. So, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes,
Sí,
senora.
sí.
Um, Welcome to the Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour. I'm
Thank you.
trying to fulfill the shoes of Stefan Jackson, who wasn't able to be here today, so bear with me, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Gracias. So we want you to tell us about a wonderful project that you're working on, and you started talking with Teddy Tashe Payton a little bit about it, and it has some incredible history behind it. And so I'm just going to really let you get into it and tell the story that you tell so well. And so give us a little bit of background on where this concept came from and some of the ideas you have about it going forward. And then Teddy Tashe, who has a master's degree from real estate development at Georgetown University, and she's an engineer, and she's another empowering, brilliant woman. I'm gonna let her engage some discussion, and we see if we can figure out how to do good while doing well, and be inclusive of all Atlantic City and Pleasantville. So with that, Senora Fernandez, why don't you tell us about this idea and this project?
Again, thank you for having me, and thank you to the audience for tuning in. It started, we been working, me and my team, and a group of amazing individuals in economic development in our community. But when we put together an agenda or plan, what are we bringing with economic development? We are including art and history, because one of the things that I was thrilled is like, okay, when you bring somebody to your home, you tell me about the story. You talk about your kids, you talk about your family, you go back to your
Yes.
roots. So if we are planning to develop something of that magnitude that we want to bring in the Lake Bay area in Pleasantville, then we have to tell the story.
Mm.
We got to start telling the story, connecting to that. And as I was researching and we were researching, I found out because I wanted to say why the bay is called Lakes.
Mm, mm,
Then is coming the story of Simon Lakes.
mm-hmm.
I spent hours and hours and hours reading, and it was fascinating. Simon Lakes was the man that invented the first submarine.
The first submarine.
Submarine.
Simon Lake invented it
Simon Lake,
in Pleasantville.
right in Pleasantville. He was born in Pleasantville, New Jersey in 1866.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, and moreover, his father, his brothers, and uncles was the one that found and developed Atlantic City and Ocean City.
What?
That's a little history. Why are we not talking about it? Why we don't have a museum? I mean, this man opened the door to the whole world for them to know where Pleasantville was New Jersey was back in the 1800s. So how we allowed that doors to close?
Wow.
And we have it right there in our backyard.
Amazing. So Simon Lake invented the submarine,
The first
and his father and his brother founded and started Atlantic City and Ocean City.
in Ocean City.
And it's the first
Yes.
time I ever heard about anything like this in my life.
It said they was the inventors and about the founders and developers of Atlantic City and Ocean City, New Jersey.
Wow. Wow, that
His
is
family
extraordinary.
have a lot of history
Yes.
in our area, and that's a story to be told. So when we connected that, we want to develop. I always said, and I said it before, economic development and social issues, and that is it's got to be economical and social development. We cannot develop one without the other.
Yes. And what's the name of your development organization?
It's called Connect, Community and Economic Development.
Connect Community and Economic Development.
Yes,
So CCED.
ED, correct.
That's fabulous. Because the
Correct.
name itself states what you're doing. You're connecting the community and you're developing economics
Yes,
in the process.
yes,
Wow.
correct, correct.
So tell us, what are some of the ideas that you have to bring, whatever you could share? We know this is a
Yes.
very sensitive project, but
It
tell us
is.
what you can share.
It is because this is the first time that we are telling
Sure.
everybody out
Wow.
there.
Exclusively on the
Yes.
Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour for Atlantic City.
Yes, we had talked to the city of Pleasantville
Wow.
and
I'm
the
honored.
administrator,
Yes.
and thank you, the administrator, Linda Payton.
Hmm.
And they are open and welcoming the project, but we putting everything together to bring it to them. So I don't want to
Sure.
say much,
Of course.
but the big project is coming because when we talk about developing, when we're talking about innovation, technology, that's a lot to put together. We're not gonna cut short or cut corners on it. We're gonna go all out. It's a big project.
You know, Teddy Tache, listening to Senora Fernandez talk about this project and knowing about a project that you're involved with in Seat Pleasant with Marvin Joe Camp, a smart city. What are your thoughts, Teddy Tache Payton, about creating a town up here that's a work, live, and play community, but focused on smart city technology so that we can bring partners in like IBM and General Dynamics into a project like this? What are your thoughts, Teddy? Or you have any questions for Senora?
Well, of course I have questions, but I'll answer your question first. So, in looking at smart cities and the way that they're established, based on the framework that you have kind of laid out before, with students being able to come in and get certain certifications, not just certifications, but being able to program and doing IT and doing a cyber triangle, smart cities definitely feed into that. And they feed into that for a number of different reasons because the more we advance technologically, the more people are relying on their cell phones to do things in their house. For instance, some people have alarms. You want to put on your house alarm to set it. What do? You can go to your cell phone. You can actually set your alarm. You can go to your cell phone. You can disarm it. You can turn on the lights. You can turn on the air. You can turn on the heat. And so those things are just a smaller component of what actually smart cities can do. And that's just on a small scale, but it's like building up to what is actually a smart city and how does it work and what does it look like. So being as though we're talking about technology, we're talking about the advancement of everything, absolutely that is something where we're talking about live, work, play, all in the same area, and be able to look at how we can bring in, again, more jobs, bring in disciplines that already exist, but again, create industry for which, these jobs are going to be had. So when you talk about sister cities before, this is another example of how you can have two different cities, two different locations, two different states come together and work together to say, this is working for us. So this is our issue, and in sharing that information, we can build better, stronger, resilient, and sustainable communities.
What do you think about that, Celeste?
Yes, and I agree because we have so many assets besides, and I said beside the beach, the boardwalk, we had the FAA Technical Center. We had the FAA, we had the aviation, we have all that around us. And all this technology, and now we have the gambling, the betting online. I mean, we had the technology and the innovation is growing, but we cannot forget about cybersecurity,
Right.
because that's had to be in place. I
Yes.
mean, we depend on our life depend on technology right now. Then we had to protect that technology. Cybersecurity is a conversation that we should have a long time ago. When we bring FAA Technical Center, when we bring in betting online, when we bring in innovation in technology, cybersecurity had to come with that. We had to protect all that information. We had to protect that investment. But overall, we had to educate our children, our community, and the workers on that. So we had to be protected.
Listening to what you were saying, what Teddy said, and take consideration that you get the Federal Aviation Research Park out here. Let's say, hypothetically, because everybody knows I'm an out of the box thinker, you know what I mean? Because you got to think out of the box sometimes. Let's say with this small project that you had some technology partners that wanted to do smart cities, which IBM is big on that, right?
Yes.
Now let's say that we go to one of the phone companies like Sprint or AT&T or one of these big boys, and we say, how would you guys like to be partners in this smart city pilot project,
Yes.
so that people know that if you got a Sprint phone and you live here, where you can go on your phone and do like Teddy Tosh say, you could check your security camera, you could check the babysitter,
Yes.
you could check the refrigerator to see if you need some more milk. So it can become a smart city that is so functional that it attracts a type of workforce that would come here that would now warrant more industry moving here that have nothing to do with casinos, because they have smart cities with smart citizens that can fulfill smart workforce positions.
Correct. Correct. And now we're creating job. We creating conscious.
Right.
We creating a future for these children, the new millennium, but overall, smart people,
Mm.
smart thinking. Because, I've been here since 1997, and our mentality is like enclosed just in our environment.
Yes.
We had to continue thinking out of the box.
Yes.
Even come back home. We keep losing these kids after they graduate from college because they don't find opportunity over here. Let's create jobs. Let's create conscious. Let's create education. Let's our workforce. Let's update those skills. There's a lot of intelligent people, but we can, how we say, complacent. We can, we've been stagnant for a long time.
Yeah.
And when we talk about change, we're not just talking about change in our environment. It's got to start with us, with our mindset. Because how we gonna create that type of job in this level up here, in the next, and we're gonna be mentally not preparing over here in this
Yes.
level. If we want to become more, if we want to be more, then we have to become more.
Well, you know what? We're going to take a little break for some music, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how Atlantic City and Pleasantville smart city thinking can create and help change the paradigm of what Bruce Weeks called collective economics. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
There's been so many things that's held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go, and where we'll end up, I don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're putting our show together, we're polishing up our act. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing, nothing stand in your way. I want y'all to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. We got to do. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. I know. I know. Ain't no stopping us now. We've got to do. We got it. I know you know someone that has a negative vibe.
Okay, welcome back to the Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour, WEHA. Listen live, spreading the gospel one song at a time. Gospel 88.7 FM radio station. And we're here today live with our special guest, Celeste Fernandez, and she is the CEO of Connect Community Economic Development, a Pleasantville Economic Development Project organization. And we're talking about a fascinating subject. In Pleasantville, there was a gentleman named Simon Lake who created and built the first submarine in America. His father and brother designed, developed, and built Atlantic City and Ocean City. And back over there called the Lake Harbor. Is it Lake Harbor?
The hub,
What a
the
lake-
Legs Bay.
Lakes Bay. Lakes Bay is actually named after Simon Lake. So we have the Fernandez here today, and also Councilman Ricky Sistrunk is here with us to talk about a wonderful idea to turn Lake Bay into a smart city. So with that, tell us a little more, whatever you can, about the vision. Is it going to be like a commercial, residential, retail? Is it like a little? What somebody told me, a little. What do you want to call a little Havana? Or a little.
A little Havana.
A little
Well,
Havana.
we're gonna go more than a little Havana because it's gonna be a waterfront view where you're gonna have a hotel, Colonial Star Hotel, the museum that we wanna put in there. Some gift shop are gonna be in there too. We're gonna have rooftop bar.
Wow.
That is needed because the view from the Lake Bay to Atlantic City is beautiful.
Really.
It's a beautiful view, and if it's possible, we want to create all along the bay a boardwalk.
Wow.
So now you will have a boardwalk in the Atlantic City side and another one in the Pleasantville side.
Yes.
It's beautiful, and rooftop bar and grills and restaurant are needed. I mean, when you have such a beautiful view, You have to enjoy it.
Yes.
And if we can take this a story, when we look at those that water in the view, now our mind go far beyond that.
Yes. Yes.
Because this man again invented a submarine right in there, right in our backyard, and he used it in there. He and there's a canal that he used to for agriculture.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's expand. It's beyond
I have to
from
come
what
back
we
there
know.
and see this. I have to come.
Yeah,
And also, what
yeah,
you
you
do in a
have to.
museum, what you do in a museum, just think if you partnered up with Smithsonian, and then they say, look, what we'll do, we have an old mothball submarine that we could sit right over there that people can walk on and take a picture. I mean, you just
Yes,
could go all kind of ways with this,
but then
Yes.
yes.
Teddy, you have any questions, or you had another question for Senora?
I actually just wanted to bring clarification to those who may not really know and or understand what smart cities are, because we're throwing terms around, and I like to make sure everybody is on the same playing
Thank
field,
you.
so to speak. So a smart city is basically designed to use technology or information gathering. So it could be communication, it could be different types of things, but it uses this technology or data in order to help cut down the cost for things in the city.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to just cutting down costs, is using like the aggregated or all the information that's collected to say, oh, we recognize that the trash compactor, for instance, may be at a certain level, and we don't want things to come out to the environment or what have you. So it's monitoring certain things so that we don't have other issues arise, and
Mm-hmm.
so that we can keep our city safer, so that we can basically have um, like, there are certain cities where you go to, you're just like, oh, this is just a beautiful city.
Yeah.
Like, people talk about Chicago, we hear about the bad side of Chicago, but if you're downtown Chicago on like Michigan Avenue, it is a gorgeous city.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle is another city that's just like absolutely gorgeous because it's clean, and there are things that they just really do well. And so again, with smart cities, it's a city that incorporates the information and the communication technology, and in doing so, it's just using those things to make sure that we reduce energy, we have better transportation, so you don't have to worry about traffic as much. That's a big thing. And then utilities are reduced because you can monitor, and you're not just running your air or what have you all the time. It can recognize the number of people perhaps that are in the building or in the room, and because of the number of people, it may adjust the temperature on its own, as opposed to somebody having to go and do it. So those are things that really kind of create, and the combination of them make a smart city.
So there's a certain level of analytics and data and artificial intelligence incorporated into a smart city planning.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So you're using the aggregates, or you're gathering all the information for both the information and communication technology. So it's got to bring in the information, and that communication, therefore, is going to send something to respond to do something in order for it to make sure that, like I said, energy or water isn't being wasted where it doesn't have to be, things like that. So that's literally, or the premise foundation for which a smart city comes from.
Mm. Well, see, that'd be fabulous because if you have the Federal Aviation Research Park
Yes.
and you start planning cities that grow with that type of innovation, and you do the same in Atlantic City, develop smart city technology that can grow with the technology growth of this triangle area, which we call the cyber triangle, that gives a real incentive for private investors to want to start coming to Atlantic City for reasons other than casinos.
Yes.
You understand that we have to create a different paradigm economically in Atlantic City that's inclusive of diversity participation, which doesn't exist at all. I don't even think at the state level. I don't think they have any requirements to say you have to contract a minority, veteran, woman-owned business participation like we do everywhere else in America. When you're getting federal dollars, there's supposed to be 25% participation of minorities, women, and veterans in those contracts. It doesn't happen in Atlantic City. It doesn't happen in Atlantic County. I don't even think it's happening in the state of New Jersey. So I think incorporating those priorities into future development that connect community economic development does with Atlantic City is also important. And I love the fact that here you are, this empowering woman, a mother. Um, I'm gonna give you a Wakanda title. You earned a Wakanda title. Um, but here you have women leading this kind of thinking.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a woman developer, basically. Teddy Tache is a woman developer. You know what I mean? And if we get more women developers in Atlantic City and in Pleasantville, if we get more women that are involved in cybersecurity and IT services, but guess what? Atlantic City and Pleasantville may just start to be a lot better than it is right now. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, yes, he have to be plus, and that empowered those little young women's and ladies now that are coming, behind us because, like I mentioned to you before, it's not about us anymore.
Yeah.
It's those behind us that are coming. We have a responsibility to lay the better path for these new millennials, for these children coming behind us.
Yes.
And yes, when we talk about a smart city, we was talking about in the plan with the developers and the investors,
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure, the lighting that we're gonna use.
Right.
That come the energy. It had to be good for the environment. It had to save that dollar for our communities. I mean, we planning to help with the tax base in
Mm-hmm.
our area
Mm-hmm.
because these taxes are killing us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is involved in the plan. See, I tried to tell you about the plan without giving you
Right,
all
right.
the
I understand.
details.
Right. You can't
But
give
at
me
the
too
same
much.
time, so
Yes. Yes.
infrastructure,
Yes.
transportation,
Mm-hmm.
education, all that is in
Mm-hmm.
our plan.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing is a small business, and that I have a passion with a small business entrepreneurs
Yes.
too, entrepreneurship, uh, and that had to be into the plan too
Yes.
because that's gonna affect those small business in the area in a positive way, and it's gonna update, you know, what they already have.
Yes.
We not reinventing the wheel. We
Mm-hmm.
just updating
Mm-hmm.
uh, what we already have and taking it to the next level.
Well, you've done some marvelous small business development over there on that main street where those Latino and Hispanic restaurants are, etc. And we need to duplicate that model in the back Maryland and Stanley Village Homes communities, but we need more black entrepreneurs to own some of their businesses. Because one thing, the Latino community, the Bangladesh community, the Asian community, the white community, they all do very well, and that is start small businesses in their community. We need to be able to do that in Atlantic City, and we need the leadership locally that promotes that because you got a lot of brothers and sisters in Atlantic City with great ideas
Yes.
and want to work hard, but they don't have the leadership to help them get access to capital, and they don't have anything going on in that phase. But we're going to change that. I'm not going to go there right now. But I want to say that, Teddy, do you have some more thoughts on this? Because, we got minimum that we could say about it right now because we want to let them do that big splash in the Pleasantville. But what are some more of your thoughts, Teddy, on this fabulous project in Pleasantville on the harbor, on the bay? On the bay?
Well, I think that, of course, looking at it from a holistic standpoint, there are always several different ways that you can attack a problem, or not even a problem, but just come with new and fresh ideas. And, we've heard about the museum, so you have the interaction, and that's pulling in educational components, and that's pulling in other things. So it's always exciting for me to see when developments occur, and it's looking at every level of the community, not just this is the building,
Yeah.
but what is the building going to do?
Yeah.
Not just what is the building going to do. Can we have the whole family? Is there a place for when you don't want the whole family of, mommy and daddy want to go out or singles want to go out? Do you have that? And each level has to be addressed. And
Yeah.
if it is, that's when you see places that people really like to go and like to spend the time. So if you really think about it, even though this is like geared towards amusement parks, I think that like Disney or Orlando is one of those things where yeah, it's catered way on one end of the spectrum, but Disney does a good job of thinking about the whole family.
Yeah, yeah, they do. And Bruce Weeks, he has this saying, collective economics. And Richmond McCoy, one of my partners, he said, development is like a marriage. He said that his first marriage, he went out and he tried to impress the wife before they got married, I guess. And he bought a big house. And he didn't show her. He was going to surprise her. So he takes her to the house and he says, "So what you think about this house, sweetheart?" And she says, "I don't like it." So right there, he learned that even in marriage, you have to come together to make a decision jointly.
Yes.
So if you're married to the community, like Connect Community Economic Development is, and how others will be in the future, we have to go to the community first and say, what do you guys want to see here? What would make you happy? Maybe they want a senior citizens facility by the bay so that they can put their mother or father
Yeah.
close to somewhere that they love being. We got to really be concerned about the seniors too and their input. So
And let me tell you, that is in the
tell
plan.
me.
It's gonna be a mix of senior living because they
Really?
need that area to enjoy
Wow.
themselves and enjoy and veterans. Because we
Yes.
put in everything in mind. I mean, remember, I had an advantage last year that when I was running, and we're not gonna talk about politics, but when I was running,
For freeholder.
I had to, yes, as a freeholder at large. So
Wow.
I went, to different cities all around the
How
county.
many cities did you go to?
I say, well, we had 23, at least 15,
Wow.
15, 16
Wow.
cities we visit, and we took the time to talk
How many
to
votes
the
did you
community.
get?
45,300 that we counted, or
40
we was counted, yeah.
45,000?
45,300. That's come out with the one. Well, some of them had to be
But
boy
still,
because of
that's
that.
extraordinary.
Yeah, more than 45,000, we would say, and we took notes of all the concerns,
Right.
From other races of the
Yes.
people, the
Yes.
cultures, and what would you like? What is that we need? Like you said, there's a lot of people with great ideas.
Yes.
And our senior citizens too. They was like, when we gonna see changes for our young people over here, so that they don't leave the area, they can stay
Wow.
here. Are we gonna see something before we leave this
Wow.
area? Before we depart?
Wow.
I mean, they are the pioneer.
Yes.
Why they should be wanting something like that? They want to see it.
Yes.
And for me, it was like now I have a bigger responsibility, because before you assume,
Yes.
okay, I think this is what is needed. But when because you told, now you know the need. I cannot sleep and say, okay, let me just go to sleep and do my thing. No, I have that responsibility.
Yes.
Like all of us should have in our bag. It's a social responsibility that we don't speak much about it. All this business, the casinos around, had a social responsibility
Right.
to bring the community up
Right.
and the residents,
Yes.
and we're not applying it, and
Yes.
that should be applied to.
Yes, they failed miserably. How much would a project like this cost? About ballpark.
Well, what we're trying to bring, we say around 50 million.
About 50 million?
About 50 million.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And people will love it. We even, well, just to give people a little bit of excitement,
Yes.
we want to bring the water taxi that is going to connect
that's
Pleasant Beach and
wonderful.
Atlantic
Wow.
City. We want to connect Wildwood. We want to connect Somers Point. So that now is that, and that cut in expense and transportation, because now in 5 minutes you can go to Atlantic City across the bay, or maybe less than that. Now in 5 minutes, maybe you can go to Wildwood.
Can
And
we
now
make them? Can we
connect.
make the water taxis maybe look like a submarine?
That
The
would be
lake,
a good idea.
the Simon Lake water taxi. Look like
you
a
can
submarine.
actually have a submarine go across.
Yes.
Why not? I mean, is
Why not?
we just had to be creative with everything. And I tell a lot of people, and I'm from Dominican Republic, and my accent is that's what I was born and raised in there. And Punta Cana, it wasn't different than Pleasantville is.
Is it
Maybe
really?
Pleasantville now it had more exposure there where Punta Cana
Sure.
place was before. It was a place that you just go by to the beach and you keep walking. But somebody came with an idea and built it with the whole world going to Punta Cana. I mean, people wait and save money just to fly into Punta Cana. Now they had an airport. Now they had a place over there that everybody wants to go and goes more than once.
You made me think about something, and I just lost it because I'm getting older. But look, it was something very exciting. This is exciting. You know, Teddy Tashe, you have a question?
Sure, I always have questions. So, in your fundraise, I know you don't want to say what with the project, but in your fundraise, is it something where you're going to solicit the public to help raise funding, or is it something that you're going to do mostly private?
Well, till now we've been sitting down with investors, but
Okay.
we had the door open for the community because I think is works better when everyone comes to the table. We had the community involved. We had a small business involved. We had the Atlantic County Economic Alliance involved. I mean, I seen everybody hands on deck is best. And if anybody from the community wants to come forward and say, okay, I want to be part of it, why not? The doors are open
Let me
for
ask you this:
ideas as well.
Is this an opportunity zone?
Yes, it is an
So
opportunity.
you are an opportunity zone,
Yes,
which unfortunately in Atlantic City, the whole Atlantic City is not an opportunity zone. Only a little strip, the tourism district.
yes.
In the distressed communities, they're not even opportunity zones, which need it the most. So, with this brilliance of the Opportunity Zone, which we've been very involved with, matter of fact, Teddy Tashe is the president of the Opportunity Zone Black Capitalism Fund, and her organization is focused on raising $5 billion to invest in American distressed communities. Um, you've seen this thing as a platform like GoFundMe. Teddy, what was the name of that? Oh, Small Change. You remember Small Change, Teddy Tashe?
Yes, small change is the name of it.
Tell Ms. Fernandez about Small Change, how that platform works.
So, Small Change is an organization that basically looks at different projects, maybe smaller projects where somebody in a community may be doing a rehab of a house or maybe a 2 unit, 4 unit project, all the way up to different levels of projects. And in that, it's more like crowdfunding. And crowdfunding is essentially where you bring different people, it could be both near and far, together to buy into a project. Could be a project like this or whatever the project is, but specific to real estate. And depending on the type of investor, you may have what we consider a qualified investor, which is an IRS designation, where basically it's tied to the amount of money that you can and the way in which you can actually go and solicit um, to have funds put into your project versus the just everyday person who may not be a qualified investor but just wants to invest some of their hard-earned dollars or retirement dollars so that they can have money working for them. So with that, they basically have this fund and it comes together, looks at the qualifications. It goes through an underwriting process like it would for a house or insurance purposes to make sure that, what you're saying is true. And then after that, it puts it on the platform where people can essentially go online and invest into your project.
From the community.
And from the community, it doesn't matter. It goes live, so it's the World Wide Web on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And anywhere in the world, you can invest in a project that is displayed. And so that's essentially how it works from the crowdfunding
Teddy
standpoint.
Touche, if you can, would you email small change background to Ms. Fernandez? Because before we go to a little bit of music, I want to say that this small change thing is fabulous because just say hypothetically you're going to do a $10 million project, right? And let's say the community says, well, you know what? I don't have a lot, I don't have a million, but I like to invest $1,000 in this development project. Well, they can invest a little bit of money. Then when the project grows, they can make a little bit of money so that it gives the community an opportunity to be a stakeholder in the project and do good while doing well. You see what I'm saying? They got this little saying. You heard this new saying, do good while doing well?
Yes.
That means you do nice things for the community. You become a compassionate capitalist and you invest in a community that is collective economics, like Bruce Weeks says. And then when it prospers, because you've been good with God, you can make some money. That's the doing well part. So you do good with kindness and love, and you do well with compassionate capitalism. With that, we're going to take a little station break for some music, and then we'll come back for our closing session, and we're going to open it up for if anybody wants to call in. We have a call in number. Stefan will tell me the call in number when we come back, and we'll see y'all shortly. Thank you.
There's been so many things that's held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go, and where we'll end up, I don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're putting our show together, we're polishing up our act. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing, nothing stand in your way. I want y'all to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. We got to do. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. I know. I know. Ain't no stopping us now. We've got to do. We got it. I know you know someone that has a negative vibe. And if you're trying to make it, they only push you aside. They really don't have nowhere to go. Ask them where they're going, they don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're gonna put our show together, gonna polish up our act. Well, and if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing, nothing stand in your way. I want y'all to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. No, no, no. We're moving, we're grooving.
Good afternoon, Atlantic City, Atlantic County, in America, and welcome back to the Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour radio show. And we just pulled in another special guest who's related to the special guest, the queen and the prince of the Fernandez household. This is Carlos Melo Fernandez, and this is Senora Fernandez's son, But what I'm really excited about while we're talking about smart communities and how smart communities can help uplift Atlantic City in Pleasantville, Carlos is an IT guy at the Federal Aviation Research Park, and I asked him to sit in on the last part of this show because, number one, this is the kind of young person that we're talking about from Atlantic City and Pleasantville that we can start promoting for some of these new cyber warrior jobs in the future, for these new IT jobs and AI jobs. And I want Carlos, if he could just share a little bit of background about himself and what he does and some things he can't talk about and he won't, but he'll share a little bit about it. Tell us, Carlos, what do you do? What is your title at the FAA, and what do you do?
My title is Technical Specialist 6. Now, what I do is I work between a lab with other colleagues in the department also. And what we do is we test new softwares and hardwares before we implement them in other FAA sites because it's currently going through an overhaul to update the framework so everything's at a standard. And basically it's called STARS, which won't necessarily get too much into, but
Sure.
basically with the framework, it helps air traffic controllers operate their TRACONs and their RAPCONs, basically being able to basically detect and continuously update basically what the air traffic controllers see or do, and if there's any type of issues and whatnot. That's when we come about and we go out to any sites in the United States and actually fix what we can, and then so far and so forth. That's the most I can honestly
Sure,
share.
sure. How old are you?
Oh, I turned 24 in June, so
In
I'm
June?
currently 24 years old. Yes.
So when you were in college, what were some of the type of classes that you were taking to prepare yourself for this job?
Well, actually, I did not go to college. I'm currently enrolled in college, actually. I'm pursuing my associates in
Wow.
IT. And currently, the only experience that I've had is really a comp TIA A+, but it was really more of just the niche, the will, and the want to learn, because it was more of what I liked. So since I liked it so much, it was something I was willing to go to bed late for, wake up early for, and it's just something that, like I said, I just wanted to
That's
keep
right,
doing.
because your mother told me the story when you were a youngster. You used to take the computers apart and put them all the way back together
That's
again.
correct, actually. Back in high school, it was like around between freshman and sophomore year. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to do automotive or I wanted to do A+, which is called computer tower training, well, computer training and whatnot. I did both, honestly, and the thing is, computer was actually more of my thing. I built my first computer, partitioned my first hard drive, and actually put my own Windows OS in there, and started figuring out with a couple of other operating systems, and from there, I was just amazed that I could honestly put this together from the parts.
To give us your definition of what is cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity for me is really more just being cautious. But the thing is, it's to me, I still feel like that question is so broad because it's more of the specifics of what you're exactly putting security on. Like cybersecurity, you can protect yourself online, but there's more to it. You can protect yourself when it comes to firewalls, antivirus is one thing, but then you got virtual private networks, you got management databases, you got to also protect. So it just goes on a long range of what exactly you want.
The Internet of Things.
The Internet of Things to be protected is so yeah. Personally, it's just hard to find a definition.
Yes, because I got very interested in it when my son told me to start to look into this. And then what struck me a couple of years ago or so, there was a casino hotel in Vegas, and in the lobby they had one of these 600-gallon fish tanks with sharks and stuff in the tank, And so a cyber terrorist got access to the vault money by going in through the computer in the fish tank that regulates the water and the pH and everything in the water.
Mm-hmm.
They hacked into the fish tank, and from the fish tank they got into the casino vault. So right there, that told me there's an enormous amount of cybersecurity warriors needed in the tourism business.
Oh,
To
absolutely.
start with hotels and casinos, which I don't like to talk about because I'm not a big advocate of casinos, but in that industry, and then in aviation, port, harbor, cybersecurity. So why can't we take young leaders like you and create this new economy in Atlantic City and drive a new industrial opportunity here? What are your thoughts about taking Atlantic City dead properties on the beach and turning those into some type of cybersecurity headquarters for workforce training and General Dynamics and McDonnell Douglas and other companies to move here?
Honestly, I think that's a great idea because honestly, my experience when moving up on, when becoming an IT person, finance is one of the struggles that I face. And honestly, this is one of the things you need to excel in such great careers. But the one thing that I notice is lacking in Atlantic City, especially in the South Jersey region, is just we don't have necessarily programs to kind of, hey, you know what? You may not know anything, but you know what? This program will actually teach you the basics and help you get up and whatnot. Besides than just, it was one thing if a person likes it and wants to do it, they'll find a way. But a person who has no idea about it and just wants to at least maybe try out a class or two, they don't even have that necessarily.
Whose child is this?
This
He
is
didn't
your-
know he was gonna be interviewed. I never
love
told
it.
him he
Well,
was gonna
but
be
see, this is WEHA, the gospel, and this is God. This is God's doing.
But to also piggyback a little bit what you were saying
Yes.
earlier, also too, I mean, it's always also on the news. I mean, Equifax, credit unions, banks. I mean, it's not just casinos. I mean, you can technically anything is hackable and honestly enterable. But funny thing is with cybersecurity, you can put the latest software. You can have something so tight zero, nothing can penetrate it. The biggest error in that is human error. Believe it or not.
Yes, human error.
That honestly plays that's only half the battle.
Cyber
honestly.
ethics.
Ethics, absolutely. Because the reason for that person to be able to actually hack into something like that,
Yeah.
he must have been able to have access to somebody's account, which you can easily do just as simple as an email click. Literally, you can open your emails. It's called phishing emails. Literally, something like that can send honestly millions in devastation.
So you started down this pathway with a high school degree.
Absolutely, yes. Just a high school degree.
Just a high school degree.
Absolutely.
Determination, getting up in the morning and staying focused.
Absolutely.
And then you're off on this path to becoming this extraordinary cyber warrior in this new developing industry.
Yes, because that's something that I want. And honestly, I've had all types of backgrounds I've worked in. I worked in the casinos. I worked in restaurants as a cook, as a server, houseman, housekeeping itself too as it needed. I mean, I worked in so many different backgrounds to find something I like. And
Did you?
yeah, and it was just working those jobs really showed me more of my worth, and that's what even pushed me more to motivate myself to really become what I really want to be.
And tell me this, because I feel this at my age. Do you think that the greatest asset and attribute to your success has been that you had this extraordinary queen mother?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the cyber lock right there.
Absolutely. Honestly, if it wasn't for my mother, I would have never opened my first computer to fix it. She's always asked me, hey, can you look at this, look at that? And really, that's how it all really started. I mean, and ever since then, she always gave me her old computers that she didn't want anymore. And I always just went to take it because it always intrigued me taking things apart and putting it together. And, But I hope everyone gets to listen to this and honestly gets motivated because it's really everyone's undermanned, believe it or not.
Sure.
In cybersecurity and even at the FAA, we are looking for people.
We need 3 million billets right now.
We need people,
Yes.
believe it or not. I mean, every other trade, sure, but I mean, this is something that it's needed and it will only take you up.
Let me ask you this: I have a couple other young men and young ladies in Atlantic City that I've been talking to, and these are like Atlantic City high school age kids, 18, 19, 20. And I want to bring them together to create a youth and senior cyber club, right?
Yes.
Would you be interested in being a mentor and possibly, whenever it's legal, make some money also? Because I know you have to be very careful with your clearances. But I would love for you to be one of the Atlantic City inspirations.
Honestly, I'd be honored.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
Wow.
I mean, anything I can do for
Jimmy,
our
I
community.
think
I mean, we've lived here for years, and
that's really,
I would love to see people
great
succeed
to
and
hear
achieve.
Listen.
for other people because of the simple fact that so many people think that you have to go to college. You have to go to college. Well, college is great. College is not always for everyone. And this is an example where people can actually have an income and basically have enough to raise a family in industry because of a certificate, because of knowledge where, yes, you can come out in high school, there are certain programs. I'm not sure about all the programs in Atlantic City, but there are certain programs even in high school where you can get coding background and you can take your A++, or like C+, or whatever the different designations are in order to do what this gentleman is doing, and that's awesome.
Okay,
that's amazing.
What we're going to do for the last 5 minutes, and I'm so sorry, the time flies when you're just doing great things. If anybody wants to call in and ask Carlos any questions, calling number is 609-641-8870. That's 609-641-8870, and then you push the one option. This has been an extraordinary blessing to have Carlos Melo Fernandez stop in here like this, and I love his enthusiasm. But see, this is the kind of enthusiasm Atlantic City youth have about IT opportunities in the future. They don't want to just talk about working in the casino and working in the restaurant. It's not a problem. It's a job, but they want jobs that excite them. And the things that excite these young people is that whatever you can do on that mobile phone. That's the most powerful computer in the world.
Yeah.
That cell phone.
Absolutely.
And you see this excitement of this young brother, this young man. I mean, he's so passionate about it. It made me emotional.
And I'm gonna add to that. One thing is what he said. When I had 3 children, and the oldest one, she went to college. She got the master degrees and what she likes. Carlos, at one point, he told me, "Mommy, I don't know if I'm gonna want to go to college or what have you, but this is what I like." And I said,
"We got a caller."
"Oh,
we got a caller.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead. Yes, caller. Oh. Hello.
Yes, hi. How are you?
Fine. Who is this?
My name is Bonnie Davis.
Hey,
I'm
Bonnie.
just calling in to say I am so glad to hear this topic and conversation on your program tonight. I'm just thrilled about this. Atlantic City really needs an uplift.
Thank
and
you.
for our youth in the community, they need something something else other than casinos, and the city is just dying and dead. And if the youth aren't charged enough to want to stay here and do something, with this, if whatever this program is or can evolve into, would be the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Well, thank you, Bonnie. That's very kind of you. Very kind of you. This young man.
I'm excited to hear it.
Yes, I am too.
I'm excited to hear. Atlantic City needs to be turned over.
Yes.
It's in the air. Something is brewing. It's a lot of things brewing, and I have some things on my plate too for the city that I'm trying to do. But I just wanted to call and tell you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Go forward. Get as much youth or senior citizens involved in this, and God knows it will be such a success.
Well, thank you so much. God bless you. And
Thank you.
Before we end with our American National Anthem by Sean Rock, I want to say that, both Ricky Sistrunk, who is from originally Chicago, and he came to Atlantic City, and Celeste Fernandez, she came from Dominican Republic to Pleasantville. Atlantic City, we have to be open-minded about people coming from outside of Atlantic City who want to help and do good.
Yes.
Because we're all Americans.
It's a new wave coming through, and we can't, God bless. My roots are Atlantic. My roots are originally from North New Jersey, and my parents are originally from Atlantic City, old school Atlantic City. And I spent a lot of my summers in Atlantic City, and it's just a new wave now that has to be in here. The old is out, which we don't want to forget the old because, Atlantic City was built on the backs of our forefathers. But we need something innovating and new and refreshing for the minority community, I'm going to say, and whoever else wants to come on board to get it moving. It's too much in Atlantic City for it to die. You know what
Bonnie,
I'm saying?
look, you got the last best word, because with that, we're going to wrap it up with our national anthem by Sean Rock, Atlantic City. Take it off, Sean.
All right.
Take us off. God bless you, everybody. Thank you for joining the Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour, and we'll see you next Monday, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, right here at WEHA Gospel 88.7, spreading the gospel one song at a time.
Dreams are big, non-stop around the clock to find your means to live. History throughout the timeline, casinos hit the skyline. A few comedy clubs got the tourists in love. Summertime beach bars make you feel like you a star. Windows crack down, AC Ave, the music blast. From the hip-hop shop to sneaker villa. Parties in the inlet, never forget they ain't a place filler. Every day is live from push carts to jitney rides. Boardwalk after dark, still peer with your peers. Soul food, the funnel cakes, welcome to the Garden State. You gotta love this place, heart of the tri-state. From the landmark to land shark, barbecues in the park, battle by the bay. The city so full of spark.
Gospel 88.7 WEHA. It's more than music. It's ministry.
WEHA, Port Republic, Atlantic City, and now on FM